I'll never forget the time I failed a math assignment. Not because I got the answer wrong, but because I solved it differently. I found my own way to the correct solution, but my teacher marked it as incorrect simply because she didn't understand my method. It didn't matter that my answer was right, it mattered that I didn't follow the rigid, approved way of doing things. That moment stuck with me. It's probably one of the reasons I hate math with a passion today. And, let's be real, why I probably suck at it now. That experience was a perfect example of how school can teach critical thinking, but often doesn't. Instead of rewarding creativity and independent problem solving, the system enforces structure, conformity, and memorization. If you're someone like me, naturally curious, a little skeptical, possibly neurodivergent, and allergic to rote memorization, you probably found school to be more of an endurance test than an actual learning experience. But here's the kicker. I did terribly in school. Like, bottom of the barrel, is he even paying attention? Kind of bad. And yet, outside of that structured system, I thrived. Why? Because my brain works best when it's free to roam, question, connect ideas, and challenge assumptions. And honestly, I think a lot of neurodivergent people are like that. But they're forced to squeeze into a system that prioritizes compliance over curiosity. In my opinion, school is really just designed to teach you how to be a worker ant in society. It's not about true learning. It's about conditioning you to follow orders, show up on time, and take instructions without questioning them too much. And let's be real, they don't even teach you about money. Managing finances, investing, understanding taxes? Nope. Those are the kinds of things they conveniently leave out. Probably because real financial literacy is reserved for private, expensive schools that prepare students for leadership, not just labour. But hey, that's another subject entirely. And I don't want to go off on a tangent, even though I totally could. One of the things I despise the most: people who think on a surface level. You know, the ones who take everything at face value, make snap judgments, and never bother to dig deeper. Instead of actually investigating or questioning things, they'd rather just label you based on a single interaction, a stereotype, or some half-baked assumption. It's frustrating because real understanding requires nuance. The world isn't black and white, and yet some people refuse to look beyond the obvious. They don't want to connect the dots, examine multiple perspectives, or challenge their own views. Nope, that takes too much effort. They'd rather judge and move on, reinforcing whatever simplistic belief system makes them comfortable. These are the same people who dismiss new ideas without even considering them, who think critical thinking is just about repeating what they've heard instead of actually analysing it. And honestly, that kind of mentality is dangerous. It's what keeps people stuck, keeps society from evolving, and fuels ignorance. But the worst part? Many of these people are the loudest voices in the room. And here's another thing. I genuinely think that nowadays, common sense, critical thinking, and self-awareness are becoming lost in society. It's like people don't even want to think for themselves anymore. We live in a time where information is more accessible than ever. Yet, somehow, people are becoming more ignorant. Everyone just wants quick, easy answers. They want their opinions spoon-fed to them by influencers, social media, echo chambers, and whatever headlines confirm their existing biases. People rarely take the time to fact-check, analyze different perspectives, or even question their own views. Instead, they react impulsively, emotion over logic, feelings over facts, and self-awareness practically extinct. Instead of reflecting on their own biases, people double down, convinced they're always right. It's a society driven by instant gratification and outrage, rather than depth and understanding. I see it everywhere. People blindly believing whatever aligns with their emotions, never questioning where their ideas come from or why they believe what they do. The ability to step back, evaluate a situation objectively, and recognize one's own biases is a lost art. And let's be honest, without these skills, how can we expect society to progress in a meaningful way? So today, let's break down why school stifles real critical thinking, what critical thinking actually is, and most importantly, how you can develop it outside the classroom, whether you're still in school, have long since escaped, or are just looking to reclaim your ability to think independently. And hey, let's also talk about how AI is changing the game, both as a tool for thinking and as a potential threat to independent thought. Challenge your own beliefs. Play devil's advocate with yourself. If you have an opinion, try arguing for the opposite side just to see if your stance holds up. Recognize your own biases. We all have biases. The key is to acknowledge them and make sure they don't cloud your judgment. Read outside your bubble. If you only consume one type of content, you're reinforcing an echo chamber. Read different viewpoints, even the ones you disagree with. Ask more questions. Instead of just accepting what you hear, ask why. Who benefits from this narrative? What are they leaving out? Is there another perspective? Use AI as a tool, not a crutch. AI can be a great resource, but don't let it replace your ability to think critically. Cross-check information. And don't just take AI's output as absolute truth. Look, the education system probably isn't going to overhaul itself anytime soon, but you don't have to play that game. If you're neurodivergent, skeptical, or just naturally curious, school might have felt like a struggle. But that doesn't mean you can't develop razor-sharp, critical thinking skills. So, if you want to be a true independent thinker, read, question, argue, explore, and yes, use AI, but don't let it use you. If you liked this video and want more deep dives into how to actually think, instead of just accept what you're told, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. What's something you questioned in school that got you in trouble? Let's start a conversation. And remember, the world is full of worker ants, but you don't have to be one. Think for yourself, challenge everything, and never settle for surface level thinking. That's how you win.